All right, well, so welcome back. We're here with the Kingdom Press podcast, and I'm here with Joshua Krakow, who's actually an advocate of active dads, administered and libertarian candidate for Florida District 77. Apparently, he's a politician as well. He's running for office, but he also helped, people that has some sufferers when it comes to, lifestyle, as far as dads dealing with child supports, et cetera, et cetera. But I let him do his part and explaining how that works. So, Josh, how are you, sir?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, how's your day
Enjoyed
going?
my day with you and all the other people that showed up to this event.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, can you tell us a little bit about your business and how did that business get started? What encouraged you or inspired you to do such a thing?
So I went through the family court system back in 2000, or I started my process in 2019 and realized a lot of the problems that we have in our family court system and felt like it was an issue that was important enough to actually get legislative involved and actually fix the issue in our family court system. It seems like it's a conversation that politicians never want to have.
Yeah,
And I reached out to our state rep to try and get involved in civic duty and see if I could actually be an active help in our current government. And unfortunately, our local rep is currently focused on real estate and trying to get big businesses in. And I understand, I mean, we all need to make money and
right.
stuff, but I think that the crux of our situation is that we need to fix the families and we need to build the community and we need to have our government actually work for us rather than always be working to be able to pay our taxes and us ultimately working for them.
Yeah, I think they got it twisted. We the people, we get them in office, and you would think exactly what they champion during their, campaign to do what's right for the people. Turn around, they get caught up with the lobbyists, they get caught up with big spenders, that's helping them out, and getting them to new heights for themselves, but not for the people. So, how do you plan on being the change maker, the person that's gonna, really be encouraged to really be a force for the people?
So I've been really active in the field. I've actually connected with a national parenting organization.
Okay.
I've reached out to a bunch of other organizations across the state. My partner's actually gone across the country and looked at other single dads outreach programs. And we're trying to be active in the single dads aspect because it's really a market that it's forgotten about, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we're trying to be the good role models and try to promote positive fathers and getting kids involved in their kids' lives.
So I do understand that when it comes to fathers being in the home or fathers being outside of the home because the partners are not getting along, and then they get into a point where they go to court, and then you have child support. How legal it is for a person to put that on somebody's back, put that on somebody's credit? How legal is child support? Is that something that's legal from the state? Because I've been hearing different sides where it's not a legal action that one could take, but most people don't know that, so they get caught up in that system.
So I believe that child support is ultimately was put in as a lie. When you look at when they went into effect, they believed that fathers were leaving the homes. When you look at statistics, 70% of divorces are initiated by women. 90% of divorces are initiated by college educated women. So
Mm,
the whole truth of fathers actually leaving the home was not the truth. It was
mm,
actually women leaving fathers in most cases. And by creating the system, it actually created a double taxation
mm.
with the child support system, in my belief, because if we're already paying for the food stamps, WIC, and all that through our taxes, to actually have the child support system,
Mhm.
the first aspect of it is Title 4D, which is a reimbursement program for those services. If you have a reimbursement program and the sole or the parent
Mm.
is paying for the reimbursement, they already paid the taxes.
Right.
So you're actually
Getting double taxed.
you're getting double taxed, in my opinion. So yeah, that's the first step of it. And then also, I think that in the near future, we're going to actually see way more fathers with or more kids without fathers because as much as we thought it was to protect women, it's actually really harming kids because what I'm seeing is a lot of younger generation men are not making as much money as the younger generation women.
Mm.
So what's going to actually happen is these women are going to be incentivized to look to the government for assistance
Mm. And the
and
government love
not
that. The government love that. There's a lot of money being made with this whole child support thing. There's people going to jail. There's people losing their lives. They're probably committing suicide over it. They're losing
Well,
their family and the
that's
kids.
not what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
What I'm referring to is women are actually making more money. So what's happening is what I predict is gonna happen is that women are gonna end up saying, "Hey, I want WIC, I want food stamps, I
Mm-hmm.
want government
Mm-hmm.
assistance." I don't know who the father is.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the
Wow.
woman's making more money than a man, what's gonna happen is she's actually gonna have to pay the father to get involved in the child's life, and she's gonna lose, sole decision making.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually weaponizing the father against the mother,
Mm.
and it's actually going to be a tax to the mother if she actually gets has a kid with a man who makes less than her, which
Right.
is only going to hurt the families more and hurt the children.
Didn't
And that's
the
what I think we need to protect.
Yeah, didn't Florida law change? They're making things 50-50 in a way where, as far as child support, it's not just lying on the dad to come through 100%. As far as, even when it comes to the child being with with dad and the child being with the mother. You know anything about that law?
Are you referring to the Good Fathers Law that just got put in
Talk
like
to us about
6 months
that.
ago?
Yeah.
So the Good Fathers Law, I think, is a good bill, but it left out a lot of important things, primarily the aspect of if the woman is not involved or is not in the picture.
Mhm.
So in 2001, there was a gentleman, his fiance went to the hospital. She was pregnant with their second child, and they already had a 3-year-old.
Mhm.
And this is during COVID. She had complications. They had to rush her to the back, and then she had to have an emergency C-section. The father wasn't able to go back to the back. They were engaged, but they were not married.
Mm.
So she ended up actually going into a coma during the birth of their second child, and unfortunately, she passed.
Wow.
So not only was the father having to bury his fiance, which I mean, I couldn't imagine burying the love of my life,
Mhm.
but because the courts weren't able to pick up the piece of paper and acknowledge the father's existence, even though there were 2 DNA tests, 2 attorneys involved, it was a situation between next of kin, which was an estranged grandparent of the child,
Mhm.
and it was the fiance. And because the courts did not have the time to decide whether, or they didn't have the time to be able to pick up the piece of paper and go through the legislation on figuring out who should have custody of the child,
Mhm.
the father, in fact, actually had a conversation with the state saying that his kid might be going into foster care because they just don't have time to uh, litigate it, and
Wow.
that should not be a situation. And the Good Fathers Act is supposed to be if a woman acknowledges that you're a father, the
Right.
father, that
That's
you
it.
ultimately get the
It's simple.
rights. But again, that I think that is a problem of legislation in the fact of it is only up to the judge's determination whether or not they actually want to enforce that.
That is crazy how the government is so involved in the family, and family can't even make their own decision on what they want to do with themselves, their kids, or whoever they want to be with. That sounds like an absurd thing, and that's an unfortunate situation on that story where the dad don't have leverage and things are being tested. DNA is involved, and people know the facts, and the states makes such a big deal of something like that, and no one seems to know how to go about helping the situation, and then the child ends up in foster care.
Loses the mom and the dad.
That is
Luckily, it
insane.
didn't actually go to the foster care system. He did get custody after 4 months, but after those 4 months, it took him another 4 months to change his daughter's name. She was named Baby Girl by the hospital for 8 months because
I mean,
just legislation, paperwork.
dumbasses. I mean, we're dealing with, I don't know, incompetent people in the office. Like, how do we hire these people and we put them in office to do the right thing? Like, were we under trends or something like that when we put these people in office? And I don't know. I mean, you plan to be the change, right?
Yeah, I want to be
So,
the change.
so talk to us about that. Like, what's the
So
change?
the truth is that unfortunately in politics, there's so much money. The problem is that there's not enough money from the salary point of view. The job that I'm trying to take is $26,000 a year. And you're talking about peeling me away from my family, my
Mm,
daughter, things that really mean a lot to me. And it really doesn't pay much. But when you look at the campaign funds, US or transparencyus.org, you can see how much money and how much backing there is and where they're going to be getting their job later.
Right.
So I recommend people to look at the transparencies and see where the money is coming, where it's going, and then you can actually see the real candidates that are doing the job because it's actually what they want to be the change rather than, hey, you know what, I'm going to get paid after this. I'm putting up with this job making $26,000 a year. Again, it's not enough to even get out of bed. Most people don't take a job for $26,000 a year, and you're paying this person $26,000 a year with all these responsibilities. They're obviously going to go somewhere else to lobbyists
Yeah, that's why
and
people get
special
bored.
interests that
That's
can
how
get
people
that
get bored.
back end.
It's unfortunate that they set it up exactly like that so you can be bought and not take care of the people, but taking care of your pockets. It's a shame. But on that note, if you can just give us a pitch on how you're gonna run for office, maybe your campaign. What do you plan on telling the people just based on that?
Well, I just want to, I think that our government needs to start working for us. I think that we need to just start holding them accountable. I think that we need to really just be the voice. We need representation that people can have their kids look up to. And we can actually say, hey, I would love for you to actually be admiring that person. But again, I don't believe that politicians should really have much authority over. I hope that my mom can be proud of me, and that's all it really should be. I should be able to be a good spokesperson, but spokespeople shouldn't have authority over.
That's true.
I mean, we should be having authority over our own homes and our own communities. I mean, when you get to the state level or even federal, I mean, why is it that people that you can't even have a conversation with are making decisions, but they aren't even willing to hear your problems?
We the people should have all the power, but unfortunately, we the people have none. So we think we have more power than we think. We just have to realize that and get up and come together and fight for the change. On that note, this is the Kingdom Press with the Kingdom Press podcast. I thank my friend here, Joshua Krakow, for joining us today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.